Hi everybody, I'm TJ Campbell, the Tire Information and Testing Manager at the Tire Rack, and this is TJ Talking, where we have the opportunity to talk to industry experts about tires. Today we have Will Robbins from Bridgestone Firestone. Will, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Hey TJ, great to be here. Yeah, my name is Will Robbins. I work with Bridgestone Americas. I'm in our strategic product team. So essentially my team is the one that looks at market trends, different sizing trends, vehicle trends, and determines what sizes we need in what products and helps bring those products to market so that we can give them to people like our partners at Tire Rack.
Certainly. Excellent. Thank you very much. It's great to have you here today. So let's start out today talking about a tire that, in 100% honesty, I don't have a whole lot of experience on. The one that's right over my shoulder, the Firestone Destination Mt2.
Sure.
So the only time that I've driven this tire, it was at the launch event. And in all honesty, that launch event actually has helped me confidently recommend the tire to people despite the fact that I haven't driven it, because it was this amazing thing. Essentially, Firestone just took people of all different skill levels and put us in Jeeps in this off-road park, and it was some of the obstacles, there were actually vehicles that got stuck and had to be winched out. Fortunately, they were on the competitor tires,
Right.
not the destination. So I don't think you guys could have planned that any better. But it was serious. There were times when you potentially thought, like, I could do some damage to this vehicle. And it really impressed me that Firestone had enough confidence in the tire that they would just, kind of set us loose out there. Can you tell me just a little bit about the off-road prowess of the Destination Mt2?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be completely honest, TJ, I think you and I are a little bit similar in that I lean more towards like ultra high performance tires versus off-road.
Sure.
And the thing that I've learned kind of in this job that I never had exposure to before was these are the same types of people, the same types of drivers that have the same type of focus on performance and, really not letting anything stop them. It's just in a different environment. So
sure, they're enthusiasts,
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what they're enthusiastic about, they're still enthusiasts nonetheless.
Yeah, and similar to, if we were developing like a Potenza RE71R, when we're looking at like a Destination MT2 type product, you have to go to the enthusiasts and the people that do this every day and do it for fun to really understand what you have to deliver in terms of the performance. If you do kind of just like normal testing, I'll call it, you're not really going to capture that, and you're not going to understand really what that end user wants, which that's really our goal, is to make sure that we're capturing that and then delivering on it. So yeah, we did a lot of partnership with overland experts that I think helped with that launch event to ensure that
they were
really,
our spotters, our professional, the drivers in the side seat, and
those guys are fantastic. We did a lot of partnership with them because it's kind of like we knew what we didn't know, and we knew where to go to find out, how to do that. And so we spent a lot of time during development kind of understanding what are these conditions, and then, how do we go back to the design team and figure out how do we create a tire that can perform in these conditions so that we are satisfying those enthusiasts that demand that, best in class performance.
Sure, and it's that authenticity. It's not a marketing exercise. It has been developed with the people that actually use these. So it's been real world proven, so to speak. But it is a very attractive tire as well. So let's be honest. We do know that most MT tires spend a lot of their life, if not all their life,
Right.
on the road. And that's one place that I don't have any experience with the tire. Can you tell me a little bit about just its everyday livability? How it performs, on the road in your everyday situations?
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple of places that MT tires, traditionally have had trade-offs, and that's a lot of, that's a lot of what tires is just managing trade-offs. But the places where MT tires kind of, at least on day to day, have been a little, call it weak, I guess, in the past is noise for one. Everybody's been on the highway where you've heard that, kind of single pitch, wah, 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 kind of going down the road.
Sure,
there like that.
From a long way away you hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the noise sequence of the tire, or how the blocks are arranged, mathematically makes a big difference in that. And so there's a balance there between getting that right and also providing the off-road traction, which in that case, it's actually better to have that single pitch. So making sure that we're delivering both was a real challenge when we were doing the MT2, and getting that right noise sequence to where we had all the traction that we needed while, also providing that kind of day-to-day livability was really important.
Sure. What about in the snow? How does it do in the snow?
That's the other area that, historically MT tires have been a little bit weaker in the snow, but, from a compound standpoint and a pattern standpoint, we were able to incorporate some features into the MT2 that help with that. The other thing is that the tire is studdable, so that if you get into really serious snow and ice conditions, you can put studs in the tire, which helps a lot, in particular with that ice traction.
Certainly understood. Yeah, there's some extra siping in the blocks as compared to the original Destination MT, right? Just to give it a few extra biting edges to help with that traction all around.
Right, exactly.
And then what about in the wet? How does it do wet performance wise?
It's pretty strong in the wet. It's surprising, I think, especially with a lot of these new generation MT and AT tires, like some of the other destinations that I think we'll talk about.
Sure.
It's pretty surprising how competent they are in the wet. Especially with these big lug patterns, having all of that void in there, you get really good water channeling, but you're also reducing, your surface contact. So
Certainly,
making sure that the compound can deliver on the wet performance is also, a big challenge with development of a lot of these light truck products. And it's one that our compound designers have done a pretty good job managing.
Right, because silica helps with wet traction, but silica-based compounds are also more prone to chipping and tearing, which are two things that conflict with one another, especially in a product like an MT or an AT. It needs to be tough, it needs to be rugged and durable.
Exactly.
To survive anything. Traditionally, is a trade-off. So it's good that has been addressed. So this one's another tire that I haven't driven yet, the Destination XT, which again I was at the launch event, so I do have some limited experience on it, but never on the road. We haven't tested it here at the Tire Rack, so we haven't gone through our full bevy of testing. But why don't you tell me a little bit, compare and contrast the differences between the Destination MT2 and the Destination XT?
So I think, again, I'll rely a little bit on some of the ultra high performance kind of things. There are specific tires, like if you're going to buy like a racing slick, you kind of are aware that you need or want that level of performance, and you want it for a very specific reason. To me, that's kind of analogous to a max traction tire like the MT2, where you kind of are aware that you need that level. You've probably already used more traditional all-terrain products, and you know that you want that next level of traction to get through a specific trail that maybe has caused a problem in the past, or you have people that are experts that kind of let you know that this is required if you're going to do this level. The XT is really more of a balanced product where, it's going to get you through almost anything off-road that an average person is ever going to get into. And even honestly, a lot of enthusiasts are going to get into, but it has a lot fewer of those compromises on the road. And, in particular, you talk about snow performance for like the max traction products. The XT is 3-Peak Mountain Snowflake certified. So it has that winter traction that really is kind of next level. And so that's one of the real things that we try to steer people to, like, what do you really need? What do you really want to do? And we always, when we talk to our dealers, ensure that they're really having those conversations with the customer to understand, what's the purpose of this? Get to know that person, get to know their usage, and then try to put them in the right product as a result of that.
So when somebody's deciding between the MT2 versus the XT, do you feel that they should look at the most extreme situation that they're going to encounter and prepare for that with their tire? Or would you recommend what they drive most frequently is what they should choose the tire for?
Yeah, and that's a really interesting question, and I think that's going to come down to the individual, honestly. Like I said, if we're talking about max traction type performance, that individual typically knows that they need that level. So that may be someone where the most extreme is more normal, or even if it's less of what they drive, that's really where their passion is. I would say in general, probably look at the most normal conditions. The conditions in which a max traction product are going to be really required is pretty small. I think, people, especially that aren't used to off-road driving, you experienced it, are typically really impressed by what just like a normal AT type product can get through. And so I think, in terms of off-road performance, the XT is going to be, most of what anyone needs without some of those other compromises that you might have with a max traction type product.
Understood. Yeah, going back to your performance analogy again, if you've never driven on an AT tire, it's like somebody that's never driven with a max performance summer tire.
Sure.
You switch from an all-season product to what is, not even the top echelon of performance summer products, and it's mind-blowing. It's nothing you've ever experienced before. So yes, that makes perfect sense. So the XT has a companion product, so to speak, in the Destination AT2. Why don't you start off, just tell us a little bit about the differences between those two products and what would make the determination on whether somebody should choose the XT or the AT2.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, we've made this one hopefully a little bit easier for folks in that it's really about sizing. The
Okay.
AT2 is all passenger sizing, standard, P metric, typically what most drivers are going to experience in vehicles that they've owned. The XT is all light truck sizing, so anywhere from load range C, D, and E. So it's really about what load do you need to carry, and are you interested in changing from a standard passenger tire up to a light truck type product. So it's a very clear delineation there. In terms of the features and benefits, the
Yep.
AT2 has more standard passenger type features. The XT is more light truck type features. So in terms of materials, compounds, and the performance that comes along with that, there is a little bit of that split. But make no mistake, the AT2 is really competent off-road. And I think that quite frankly, there were a lot of us that were really surprised and impressed at how well that it performed when we did all of our testing versus the XT and some of the competition.
Excellent. And that one, the Destination AT2, we have driven, we have tested. It did very well. It's a good snow performer. It's good in the wet. It's very nice to drive on the road. What were some of the performance targets that you had? Some of the what were had to have type goals when you were developing the Destination AT2?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned a couple of the performance targets that the Three Peak Mountain Snowflake certification for both the AXT and the AT2 were kind of they're really becoming table stakes for the all-terrain part of the market. So we knew going into development. Yeah, we knew going into development that had to be a key target. We also know that wet performance and wear performance are performances that our end users really, really care about, because those are the things that you experience wet pretty often on the road, no matter
Yep.
where you live, and the wear performance really comes down to the part of the value equation. And so when we looked at all kind of that picture, those were kind of the key performance areas that we looked at. And then it is an all-terrain product; it has to perform off-road. That to me, you kind of think about what a tire's purpose is. If it's an all-terrain product, it has to have that capability. So it's a function of how do you give people that capability while still balancing all that other performance.
Sure, that goes back to the authenticity that we talked about with the MT2. If it's a poser, so to speak, if it fails in that regard,
Right.
The market's going to find out really quickly. Continuing down on the the aggressive scale, Destination LE3, a highway all-season tire. We tested that one, and the thing that stood out the most about that tire is just how balanced the performance is. In all honesty, it wasn't the absolute highest level performer in any one area, but it was really close in every area, and it just was such a well-rounded, just a high performer in all regards. Was that intentional? Is that something that you were looking for during the development of that product?
Absolutely, and honestly, you kind of hit the nail on the head. The thing with the Destination LE product family, this is the third iteration of that family. It has become almost a brand of its own over the years, and it's by far our best-selling Firestone pattern. We basically have it for any type of truck and SUV out there, and kind of going into the development of the 3 from the 2, it was how do we keep everything that everybody loves about this product, but give them more of it. And so again, we focused a lot on that true balance, the balance of wear, of wet, of winter performance, but also things like ride comfort and dry responsiveness. So yeah, we wanted to create a product that really a dealer or somebody that merchandises the Destination line, if somebody comes in with a vehicle, we probably have the fitment for it, and we know that person is going to be happy with that purchase no matter what. So we're trying to create, like you said, that most balanced product so that we can satisfy the most people possible.
Sure, and you kind of touched on it. Destination LE2, I mean, it's a mainstay. It's a staple. It's a legendary product almost. Was it daunting knowing that you had to replace that? I mean, I'm sure at least part of you had to think, just don't screw this up. Just don't screw this up. And I'm sure there was the the temptation to just be pretty conservative and just incremental gains here and there. Do you think that was the strategy that you took, or were there any kind of bigger moves, so to speak? Any places that you really wanted to make big improvements over the predecessor?
Yeah. So as we went into the development, we looked at certainly pushing performance in a lot of different ways. The wet, the winter, and the wear that we're constantly talking about. Understanding that those are focus areas for end users. So we definitely pushed, especially the wear performance. We got 70,000 mile warranty versus 60. We've got improved wet performance, which you guys saw, on your testing, and we've also got some pretty significantly improved snow performance through some of the technology features like the 3D sipes. The other thing that it was a big point for us in this product and on a lot of the other destination products too, the AT2 and the XT that we talked about before, was ensuring that we had performance over the life of the tire. So, through some of those technologies like 3D sipes, we were able to go full depth on a lot of the features. And so, those end users will see things like the sipes and the slots and all the little features staying around longer in the pattern. And, it's really up until the very, very, very last stages of the tire's life. Those are all going to be there. And so they helped continue to deliver that performance longer over the tire's life. So that was a big focus area for the LE3. But yeah, in general, a lot of it was, there was a little bit of that kind of responsibility for not screwing up, a good thing. And it's one of the reasons why we kept that kind of family pattern image. One of the things that I've always loved about the LE2 was that kind of S kind of swoop design in the pattern. One of our requirements was that we keep something very similar to that in the new pattern, so that we could really talk about this as, hey, this is the great tire that you've loved. It's just better everywhere.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely that family resemblance there from the predecessor to the successor. They have a similar feel to them. So we haven't tested it in the snow yet. That's going to go over, and we'll test it in Sweden in February. What do you expect, or what should I expect? What are we going to find when we test it over there against its competitive set?
It's going to be very strong in the snow, and not just, we talk a lot about snow traction just for what that represents in terms of, mountain snowflake certification and other things like that. But we like to focus on really balanced snow performance because, traction will get you going, but if you can't stop or you can't turn, that can cause problems. So I expect you'll see that similar balance show up when you do the snow testing in terms of, acceleration, braking, and cornering.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, I look forward to it. Thank you so much for being here to talk to us about the Destination family of tires. It's always a pleasure, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, Will?
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks.